It's all about me.
This is the Dan Patrick Show podcast.
There is more where that came from.
Click back for new episodes all week long. Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, here's Dan Patrick.
Oh, I got problems. Welcome to the program. Hope you had a great weekend. Gang's here ready to go. We're down at Danettes, Seaton off today. Two-a-days is in the big boy chair. But Paulie's here, Fritzy's here, McLovin, and yours truly. We'll come up with a poll question, got a stat of the day. A few things to dive into, and it's a Monday, so that means best and worst of the weekend. What you saw that you liked, you didn't like, your opportunity to dial us up if you'd like, 877-3DP-SHOW, or you can tweet at DP Show, and we'll get to those coming up. Brooks Koepka goes back-to-back at the U.S. Open. It was a battle, 4-day-long struggle between man versus golf course, and Brooks Koepka came away with his second straight U.S. Open title. First to do that since Curtis Strange back in 1988 and 89. An amazing performance. It was sort of survival of the fittest, and he sure is fit. Now, I feel like, golf is a game of misses. Like, are my misses better than your misses? Because everybody makes mistakes on a golf course. But he avoided disaster. That's really the key. Everybody got humbled here. Rory, Jordan Spieth, Tiger, Phil Mickelson did the unthinkable. Stopped to putt with his putter as it was rolling away from the hole. We'll talk about that coming up. And even on Sunday, Brooks Koepka didn't own the day. It was Tommy Fleetwood. He shot a 63, tying the U.S. Open record for the best single round, setting a course record. Brooks Koepka at age 28, we know him now for 2 U.S. Open titles. I don't know if we're going to know him for anything other than that, but the fact that he's healthy, came back from surgery, there was probably a thought in his mind that he wouldn't ever be able to play again. He'd injured his wrist. But at age 28, he's put himself in a pretty good category with 2 majors there, and they are 2 U.S. Open titles. As far as Phil Mickelson, watching it, I was watching it live, and I went, that's bad, Phil. Phil, what are you doing? Now, you're watching this, and Phil's above the hole, and we know that, first of all, USGA did a horrible job. They took a great golf course, and they actually gave you 4 different golf courses depending on which day. That's embarrassing. I feel like if you say, we're going to Pebble Beach, or we're going to go to Pinehurst, or we're going to go to wherever it is, I want the course I want it to be something that complements the U.S. Open. I don't want it to be the star. I don't derive any pleasure in seeing somebody hit a great shot and then get penalized. You get penalized enough in golf. I don't need to over-penalize you. And I understand, Phil Mickelson made a mistake. He's handled himself as a golfer on the course with fans, with rules, with the game, with great decorum. That was a mistake. Would I have DQ'd him? I would have. I don't think it's the end of the world. Phil made a mistake. He was trying to get an advantage. He sort of had an hour and a half to come up with an excuse, which I thought was interesting. If that was on 18, I wonder what Phil would have said as he walked over to talk to the media, as opposed to, man, I got to come up with a good story here. Here's Phil Mickelson talking about his mistake.
I don't mean disrespect by anybody. I know it's a 2-shot penalty, and at that time, I just didn't feel like going back and forth and hitting the same shot over. I took the 2-shot penalty, moved on. It's my understanding of the rules. I've had multiple times where I've wanted to do that. I just finally did. All
right. He did say that we have to toughen up, and that's not a good response. Phil should have been disqualified. And imagine this, and this is something Lee Westwood, a golfer, pointed out. You're at Augusta, and you're on 15, and you're over the green, and you chip it back, and then it's going to roll right into the water hazard. You run and stop it. So, okay, there's a 2-stroke penalty. As opposed to in the water, take it out, drop zone, or you have to, there's a lot of other things attached to this, not just, hey, Phil's frustrated. I mean, we've done it before, but not Phil Mickelson. And I feel like if this had been somebody else of lesser stature, they would have been DQ'd. I think Phil Mickelson stayed in because he's Phil Mickelson. I thought the USGA embarrassed itself at Shinnecock. I really do. Because I'll go back to, if I have that's a very challenging golf course. I don't need to make it more challenging. It's challenging. That's why you're having it there. I don't need to humiliate you. I can challenge you. I don't need to humiliate you. And I thought the USGA embarrassed itself. I can't have 4 different golf courses in 4 days. And that's what it did. But Phil did it. Phil did call up and say, he talked to the USGA and said, look, if I should be disqualified, then disqualify me. That's what he should have said after his round. Because I think he got home and probably realized, man, this is not me. I made a big mistake here. Now, it's not going to affect his legacy. People make it seem like, oh my God, this is what we're going to remember about Phil Mickelson. This is the one tournament, one major that has been so frustrating and eluded him, and he will never win a U.S. Open. And I think he's looking at what is happening here. He's out of contention, and he's just like, whatever. I'm done with this hole. Let me move on. It wasn't like they said, Phil, you're on the clock. You got to speed up here. Let's play some polo out there. There's not a good excuse for Phil. He used the rules to his advantage. But if Phil has 10, 15 seconds that are bad in a span of 20 years of doing something that this embarrassing, this egregious, that's not a bad career. He's great with the fans. He loves the game. All of those things. He does right most of the time here. This is a bad moment, but I would have DQ'd him. That's it. It's plain and simple. Phil, can't have it. You're better than that. You're one of the keepers of the game. I'm going to DQ you. Now, you can't go out of your way and say, Phil, you should know better, and we're going to penalize you more than somebody else. If it would have been Beef Johnston who did it, I would have DQ'd him as well. Yeah, Paul.
According to Rule 14.5, a player must not make a stroke at his ball while it's moving. He cannot purposely deflect it or stop it to gain an advantage. According to a couple different articles, it's a very murky area with this shot because he was not trying to gain an advantage. He just hit it early. And they also think that because he was so far out of contention, they didn't DQ him. If he was like...
Well, he wouldn't have done it if he was in contention.
Right. And that's one of the reasons they don't really have verbiage. Yeah. Verbiage for this specific violation.
But he said he was trying to take advantage of the rules, so he was trying to get a competitive advantage here. Like he's saying that, right? And then it says you're not supposed to be doing that.
Rule 1.2 says if you purposely alter a shot, but there's no language for making another shot before the ball comes to rest. Yeah. It's weird. It's like there's no language for what he did.
Did John Daly get DQ'd when he played polo down at Pinehurst number 2, where the ball was rolling up and then rolled back off the green? Because John did that. I don't know if he just got assessed a penalty. But I don't know if you think differently here with Phil Mickelson. It feels like this has dominated the U.S. Open. Brooks Koepka survived there and played great. This is just one of those moments where I'm watching going, I've done that before. Wait, Phil, it's the U.S. Open. Wait, Phil Mickelson, what are you doing, Phil? Yes, McLovin.
I'm seeing that Daly also took a 2-stroke penalty, and I don't believe he was DQ'd.
Yeah. I would DQ somebody in a situation like that. Like, okay, I'm fed up with this hole. Okay, play it, all right? Everybody else is in this the same way you are. Everybody else is playing this golf course. Everybody else has problems with this golf course. Just play the damn thing. You're a professional. Hey, look, I love Phil. He's been great to this show, been great to us. I would have DQ'd him. That's it. Because he should know better, and the USGA would have probably, sent somebody packing. Somebody of a lesser stature there. But, Brooks Koepka is one of those, oh, yeah, that guy. Oh, that guy who's jacked. Oh, yeah, that guy. Oh, okay. All right, I know who Brooks Koepka is. And then, you would think Brooks Koepka would be doing the media tour today. Where's Brooks Koepka? Like Fallon, the Today Show, something? I mean, golf needs this. Golf has got to sell. Hell, I'll take Tommy Fleetwood today. He seemed like a pretty cool dude. But, man, golf's got to, they got to get these guys out there selling what they did. Great story, but MIA. Yeah, Paul.
Why couldn't the PGA, they're all not employees of the PGA, but under the umbrella of the PGA, say when you win a major, you do this list of interviews the next day. Like NASCAR, if you win the Daytona 500, you fly to ESPN for the day, you do Fallon, you do Letterman in the day, you do Today Show, blah, blah, blah. You're handed a list of interviews because part of your job is to promote the sport and yourself.
Yeah. It's like Dustin Johnson when he won, Ricky Fowler when he won the PGA. And look, these are guys I admire. I just think if I'm running the PGA or USGA, get your stars out there. You're still under the cloud of Tiger Woods here. The NBA is moving past Michael Jordan, but how long has it taken? These other sports, that kind of peripheral sports, I mean, you got to get your guys out there. When all the household names didn't even make the weekend there. Yeah, Fritzy.
And in the more popular sports, they make them do it at the end of a quarter. They're talking to an NBA coach. At halftime, they're talking to the NFL coach. Baseball now, between innings, the managers have to, comment. So that's the least that golf can do is deliver the back-to-back champion.
Well, you need to sell your sport. I know that I know the story is Phil Mickelson in that golf course. But Tommy Fleetwood, Brooks Koepka, those were great stories. And for a guy who nearly quit, I'm using my own words with Brooks Koepka, had ligament damage in his wrist, and he came back and played well. Yeah, McLeod.
My reaction was these guys get such silly money. I mean, golfers, even average golfers get ridiculous money that they have no reason to follow anybody's rules. Like, they don't need the exposure. They're getting these gigantic sponsorships and purses.
Yeah, Paul.
By the way, your boy Tommy Fleetwood, I don't know if it's new or not, but he's getting the nickname Fairway Jesus this weekend on social media.
That's a dude I'd love to have a beer with.
He should never cut his hair.
No. Fairway Jesus, man. I love it.
And then it was his first Father's Day with his baby afterward. But how tense are you sitting there watching Brooks Koepka on the back nine when you're already in the clubhouse for Tommy Fleetwood?
Well, you picked Tommy Fleetwood to win.
Yes.
And so I had Brooks Koepka, and then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if we end up in a tie, and then there's a play, so it's an 18-hole playoff, and I'm thinking, no, we got it. And then all of a sudden, Brooks Koepka made a couple of shots there, and Fleetwood missed the putt for 62.
That's a killer.
Yeah, he knew it. He said, that's going to call. I'm going to lose. I need that stroke there.
His caddy totally screwed it up. He told him where to hit. He did it.
So he gets blamed for one shot. He doesn't get credit for any of the other shots.
Does Fleetwood actually walk away a little annoyed with his performance, even though he almost set like every record on the book?
I think he would be disappointed, but I think you got to be thrilled that you put up that kind of number. Now, he might go, it's 63, but it's a hollow 63. Yeah, Fritzy.
There's also the big debate, and they were talking about it on the broadcast. Do you want to be kicking back? You had a very good score. You were strong on Sunday. Just relax and let things play out, or do you want to be the one in control, knowing what number you need to beat for the final holes?
So, do I want to be Tommy Fleetwood in the clubhouse having lunch, watching Brooks Koepka play the back nine,
or be Brooks, where you know what number you need?
Well, I think any golfer is going to say they want to have it in their hands, as opposed to because Tommy Fleetwood couldn't do anything. He just had to sit there and wait and watch. And you know what? He handled himself unbelievably. He's like, hey, you got to feel good about Brooks. I mean, that's a tough golf course doing what he did there. But there's so much attached to it. I thought some of the fans were embarrassingly bad. Ian Poulter said, the stuff that said every single hole, he goes, I can't even repeat there. It was just a bizarre weekend there. When you looked at that golf course, and then they tried to make up for it, but I'll go back and state it, that you can't have 4 different golf courses. If you're going to play a golf course, play the golf course. Don't add, a windmill and water hazards and just play the... Shinnecock is an unbelievably great course. And I don't think that Shinnecock came away looking great. If I'm a member of Shinnecock, I'm not going, man, pretty proud, man. Nobody broke par. Nah, I'd feel bad. Because there's nothing wrong with guys getting 5 under, 7 under. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody comes away going, man, my course got humbled there. It's just they tried too hard. Then they made a big, big mistake. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Farmers. They know a thing or two. They've seen a thing or two. Discover home coverage options and more at our friends at farmers.com. All right, we'll come up with a poll question today. Are we doing a Phil Mickelson poll question today, McLevin?
It's actually more of an entire U.S. Open poll question. Phil is in there, I will admit.
Okay, all right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with that. More on what's going on with Kawhi Leonard, the San Antonio Spurs. Jordan Schultz of Yahoo Sports, their NBA writer, has got a few things to tell you about. More on Kawhi Leonard. He'll join us next hour. And also who he thinks could be the Donovan Mitchell of this draft. And just some interesting scenarios going on with what's going on with the NBA draft and free agency coming up. 877-3DP Show is the number, and our Twitter handle is @DP Show. We're back after this, 17 after the hour on the Dan Patrick Show.
The Black Tux is the one-stop shop for modern fitting suits and tuxedos at half the price of what even the budget rental companies offer. Wedding season's upon us. You're going to be doing it big and going out to all of your buddies' weddings. When you're bringing a date, you want to look fresh, but it has to be convenient. That's where the blacktux.com comes in. The Black Tux is awesome suits and tuxedos in all kinds of styles, and you rent them online. It's our official place to dress dress up for the Dan Patrick Show at the Sports Emmy Awards. The Black Tux offers the kinds of suits and tuxedo styles that would normally be wildly expensive to buy and you might only wear once, like the Emerald Shawl Tuxedo. It's funky, cool, but how many times are you going to wear an emerald green tuxedo? With the Black Tux, you can do you and blow it out for your big one-time event. So try a new look, do something different, and take your style to the next level with the Black Tux free home try-on. You can see the fit and feel the quality of your suit months before your event. After ordering, your suit will arrive 14 days before your event. If it's less than perfect, you can send your replacement right away. To get $20 off your purchase, visit thebblacktux.com/Patrick. That's thebblacktux.com/Patrick for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
These days, news travels lightning fast, which is great if you're a sports fan. Between status updates, breaking news notifications, and Twitter feeds, you can always be up to the minute on every team and every game. And while this is great for sports fans, it's the opposite when it comes to buying a car. Go online and you're bombarded with numbers, invoice, list price, dealer price. It's hard to know or even recognize a good price. But not anymore. Introducing True Price from TrueCar. It's the only price you need to know because it's exactly what you'll pay for the car you want, including fees and accessories. How do you know if True Price is a great price? Because TrueCar shows you what other people paid for that same car you want, so you know how to recognize a good price. And your certified dealers know this. They set their True Price competitively so they can win your business. So when you're ready to buy a new car or a used car, visit TrueCar and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. So stop being bombarded with all of these numbers online. Get the only number you need to know with True Price from TrueCar. Some features not available in all states.
Brandel Chamblee of the Golf Channel will join us coming up here in a few minutes. Got some tweets here. Best and worst of the weekend, as we always do on Monday. McLovin will have a poll question. Dom Shire 17, best of the weekend, Tommy Fleetwood, hands down. What is it? Fairway Jesus? That's what he's being called? Worst of the weekend players, putting in the final round of the U.S. Open. Let's see. Coach LeClaire 14, best of the weekend. Phil making golf slightly more interesting without hurting anyone. Worst of the weekend, golf purist reactions. Chef Juan Mora, the best, Mexico beating Germany 1-0. Worst, Phil Mickelson hitting the ball while still moving on the 13th hole. All right, McLovin, poll question today.
Okay, we do have a U.S. Open poll. At some point before this whole story dies away, I do want to do a who would win, LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George versus the Warriors, because I think we have to do that poll before Kawhi doesn't go to the Lakers. But today is U.S. Open. What is the story that you will remember down the road from the 2018 U.S. Open? Is it Phil Mickelson? Is it Tommy Fleetwood's near-record round?
Phil Mickelson. It's Phil Mickelson.
The course. That's the other one. What if the USGA reacts strongly and makes the course easier? Then we'll look back at this as a turning point.
It's Phil Mickelson.
Tiger's yacht?
Phil. It's Phil. Because we don't see that. And we could see that out of John Daly, and we have. But Phil Mickelson, that's where you go, wait, that's Phil Mickelson doing that. So, Phil, to me, that story stays with us for a long, long time. Brooks Koepka played well. He survived. And Tommy Fleetwood, he wasn't even in there in the late afternoon. So he did it and then sat and waited 2.5 hours. The course itself, we're going to remember the course, but I think it's going to be Phil Mickelson. All right, 877-3DP Show, email address, dp@danpatrick.com. I already, stated my case with Phil. I would have DQ'd him. That's all. I'd just DQ him. If it was somebody of lesser stature, celebrity, they would have been DQ'd in my opinion. I'm not buying his excuse, but I don't think this is what defines his legacy there. Brandel Chamblee of the Golf Channel joins us now. Brandel, thanks for joining us. Where do you stand on all of this?
Well, I agree with you. I don't think this will define his legacy. I think he'll go down as one of the greatest, most popular players in the history of the game. But, this will certainly be part of his legacy, just like his comments after the 2014 Ryder Cup. Given his position in the game, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, there's no corresponding equivalent video of Palmer or Hogan or Nancy. You'd find nothing. Given his stature in the game, it was bizarre. Yeah, he should have been disqualified.
I didn't think the USGA had a consistent weekend. And as I pointed out to start the show, I can't have 4 different golf courses. There were 4 different golf courses, Randall.
There absolutely were.
I mean, that's embarrassing. It really is. It's not fair.
It's embarrassing. I don't know what's going on at the USGA. To me, it's like they're lacking a clear leadership. They don't have some clear objective on how to set up a golf course. It can't be that difficult to miss it so badly the first day, respawn the next day, miss it so badly the third day, and then set it up so easy on the fourth day. There was a 19-shot disparity between what Ricky Fowler shot third day and fourth day.
Wait, we're losing Brandel. We're losing him. I think Brandel's still in New York. I don't know if he's out on the island, but we'll try to grab him back. So any other poll questions, McLovin, besides the golf one?
We could definitely, depends how much Kawhi you want to talk about, because I am having trouble figuring out what's real and what's not real about Kawhi. The other question, too, we could put up, Phil Mickelson, should he have been DQ'd? Will people vote strongly one way or the other on that?
Well, I'm curious how bothered you are by this. Like, I wasn't bothered. It was just a moment that happened, but I just would have acted swiftly and just said, you know what, Phil, we're going to DQ you. And that's all. Just act swiftly there. And I think if this had been another golfer, they would have done that. But Brandel Chamblee is back with us. As you were saying, Brandel.
Well, you were right. So Ricky Fowler, 84 on Saturday, 65 on Sunday. That's a 19-shot disparity. In the history of the U.S. Open, there's never been such a disparity between the third and fourth round ever. That's 19 shots in the history. There's only been 16 shots. There was also another 16-shot disparity between Patrick Rogers. That pretty much sums it up. When you shoot 66 on Saturday and you're in 45th place, what do you pick up? You pick up 4 or 5 shots on the leaders. Those guys, Tony Finau, Daniel Berger, they shot 66. They picked up 11 shots on the leaders. It was nowhere near the same golf course from the morning to the afternoon.
The story that we take away from this is what? 10 years down the road, when I say, man, remember when the U.S. Open was at Shinnecock? And you're going to say what?
I'm going to say it was a really bad week for the USGA, a really bad week for Phil Mickelson, and then I need to go to the gym and work out, or at least I should have.
After looking at Brooks Koepka?
Oh, my God. When I was playing golf, that's all I did was play golf. Every dang day. Every time you go to the gym, someone would say, no, you can't go to the gym. You don't go to the gym, you're going to ruin your flexibility. Well, okay, I've come 180 degrees on this. If I had it to do over again, yeah, I'd be in the gym every doggone day, because if you need another example of how the game of golf has changed from the days of Ray Floyd and Corey Pavin, then watching Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka play golf yesterday, you're blind, because the game of golf, Tiger Woods came along. I really did think he was kind of more of an end than a beginning. I didn't think people would fall in line to the extent that they have, but the game has gotten so physical now, and it's beautiful to watch these guys. These guys are athletes. Yesterday morning, before he went out and played, Brooks Koepka benched 200 pounds 15 times. Out and play golf for crying out loud. Just swinging an 11-ounce club. But my God, has power and athleticism become a dominant part of golf?
Explain this to me, because I'm watching. I haven't played Shinnecock. I've been there. I understand how difficult it is. But Pebble Beach next year when they have the U.S. Open, why does Pebble have to, if you're going to bring it to Pebble, why does Pebble have to be tricked up, made, I don't want to humiliate you or even humble you. I want to challenge you. So is Pebble going to be like Shinnecock and they're going to try to do all these crazy things to make these guys, nobody gets to break par?
Well, based upon what happened this year, you like to think that they'll keep their wits about them and they won't shave the greens down to where they're almost dead. It seems pretty simple to set up a fair golf course, decide on a fairway width, decide on a penalty for the rough, and decide on what speed of the greens is appropriate given the slopes and the condition of the greens. It really can't be any more difficult than that. But they're hell-bent on shaving the greens and running green speeds at levels that teeter on absurd. And if the weather gets a little cockeyed, then the whole thing goes to hell. You'd think it'd be easier than it is. But no, they don't. It's a great golf course. The problem with, look, it's Poana. They're going to be on Poana. It's going to be bumpy. And I played the 92 U.S. Open at Pebble. I played in the 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble. And the greens sort of pinball around out there. It's part of it. They need to keep them at appropriate speed. And they need to have a great setup.
Brandel, safe travels home. Great to talk to you this weekend. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Dan. Take care, guys.
Yeah, if you're going to have a major at one of these golf courses, then you're having it there for, I'm going to guess, because the golf course is great. Then let the golf course, if you take down the golf course, okay. But, hey, we're playing at Pebble. We've really got to make this difficult. Make it challenging. Don't humiliate. Humble, okay. But what happens is you hijack the weekend, and that's what the USGA did. They hijacked the weekend. And then you start to watch, and you go, somebody will say, well, Dustin Johnson hit a perfect shot, and it just rolled off the green. So it's not a perfect shot. The degree of difficulty is always going to be there. You can't add to the degree of difficulty. Yeah, Paul.
I'm wrong about this, but for years I always thought that the person who ran the course, like Shinnecock or whatever U.S. Open course, tricked it out and made it tough because, all right, you're coming to my course, I'm going to make it tough. I'm going to take down these golfers. If I run Wingfoot or Shinnecock or Beth Page, the local greenskeeper, the guy who works for those courses, I always thought that person tricked out the course to make a statement on his one day on the national stage and then to try to publicize the course that it's this tough, now come play it. But it's the USGA who has final decision, right?
Yeah, they're the ones in control there. I'm sure that they confer with the local greenskeeper, but I'm not more likely to go play a course that is embarrassingly bad, like Shinnecock. I mean, I would wait a year and then go back, and I'd be curious about how tough it would be. But it's not like I go, man, I can't wait to just have a torturous 5-hour round. I played Pinehurst number 2, one of the great facilities, great golf course, and it's like turtles. The greens are like a turtle. So you have to putt it up. It's like a bowl upside down, and you're trying to putt on this. This is right before the U.S. Open that I got a chance to play it. It was one of the worst days, longest days. I didn't have fun at all. And I should have, because Pinehurst number 2 is really a wonderful golf course. But it was just so difficult. And, when you're shooting 100 and you're a 9, it's just not fun. Like, at no point I go, boy, I can't wait to see the pros, play this one and embarrass themselves. Boy, that ball didn't stay on the green. Boy, I can't wait to see this happen. Yeah, Paul.
What if other sports did this? Remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when the Houston Astros had that hill in center field and outfield had to run up this hill and their legs would get tangled underneath them, but they got rid of it a few years ago. What if other sports did this, tricked out their home field to make it tougher? I guess baseball does it. They're not uniform like football.
So you're going to have the lighting will be bad in the Boston Garden at your end?
Yeah, or like the Atlanta Hawks, and you put like wet spots on the floor here and there, and just hilarity ensues.
Yeah, until somebody blows out their knee. Yeah. All right, McLevin, you had a...
So we're going to go Phil Mickelson.
Okay.
Are you very upset at it? Are you slightly perturbed by it, or do you not mind?
Or don't care?
Don't care. Well, I didn't want to put don't care. What's better wording? Yeah, I guess don't care.
Well, I'd just be curious. I understand his frustration. I do.
I think a lot of people do.
Okay, but, unless you want to use that as an option, and I think that would probably win, is everybody understands his frustration level. But that doesn't exonerate you.
To me, part of it is too, like, he was so far out of the tournament, there was very little impact.
Well, if he was close to the lead, he never would have done that.
Right.
It's because he didn't give a damn. Hey, I just wanted to move on. Yeah, I do too, when I'm putting up an 8. I want to move on. I want to move on after a 6. But that's not the way it works.
I'm still struck by our DP show pool that Rory McIlroy was plus 10 for me by the time the pool was over. I've never seen scores get so high.
Did we tabulate this on the... Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, no. The motto of our news team is...
We don't break news.
My God.
We screen it.
Let's go to the newsroom. Paul?
Dan, the U.S. Open pool brought to you by Callaway last week. I had the results. I'm going to go with winner first, then down to loser.
Okay.
The winner had Brooks Koepka, the winner. Patrick Reed, who made $569,000. Tony Finau with $474,000, and Jason Day $10,000 missed a cut. Dan Patrick $3.214 million.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Here's another shocker. Andrew Perloff, who only had 2 members on his
yes,
team.
I did.
One of them missed the cut. Matt Kuchar, the Cooch.
You traded in Jordan Spieth and Rory, didn't you?
And Alex Noren, which was a mistake because he made the cut.
So McLevin only had Tommy Fleetwood.
He stuck with fairway Jesus, Tommy Fleetwood, who made $1.296 million.
That's
by the way,
unbelievable.
I entered the Sunday in 4th place because Fleetwood was behind. He had a bad Saturday.
Okay.
But 3rd place is Kale, our
listener who won the contest. Okay.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson, Webb Simpson, Bryson DeChambeau, and Luke List. He made $1.172 million.
Okay.
Now we're getting towards the end. Fritzy, 4 golfers, 2 didn't make the cut, but he had Stinson and Justin Thomas, $461,000. Seton O'Connor, 2 of his golfers, Tiger Woods and Sergio Garcia, did not make the cut. Dan. He had Brandon Grace and Justin Rose. They combined to make him $369,000. Remember that term?
369.
Remember that number? 369. Right. I had Hideki Matsuyama, Ricky Fowler, Phil Mickelson, and Adam Scott. 3 of my golfers made the cut. Adam Scott didn't. I lost. I came in last place with $323,000. Now, if Phil Mickelson waits for that ball to come to rest and 2 putts, he would end up making $78,000 more in his tournament, and Seton would have been in last place. So Phil Mickelson's gaffe cost he and me, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah.
And I picked Phil first overall. I mean, first he's my first pick.
Yes,
how funny is that?
Imagine if Paulie was second from last, and then Seton could argue that he should have been DQ'd, which would have cost Paulie. So it could have gone even worse.
Right.
So Paulie has shower of shame. Seton, for once, avoid shower of shame.
Thanks to Philbert Mickelson.
Yep. Another reason to be angry at Phil. You golf purist out there. I'm not a golf purist. I just would have DQ'd him for what he did. It's not the end of the world, not the end of his legacy. It's like, okay, he did it. He's frustrated. All right, but we're going to punish you. Because this is going to be one of those things. A weekend golfer, how many of us are going to do this now just to say, hey, you're doing a Phil Mickelson there. Like you hit the ball by or it's going to go into water. Hey, you just run and stop it. You go, I'll take my 2-stroke penalty. Yes, McLovin.
Maybe this is all good for golf because, let's face it, people are talking a lot more about the U.S. Open. Cheating sometimes, like football, the biggest stories are always cheating. Baseball, people love talking about cheating. Cheating is interesting to fans.
Well, this goes back to any publicity is good publicity. And I don't buy into that.
I don't know because, basically, if you look at the headlines, people are much more fascinated with the flaws of a sport than if something goes. Brooks Koepka just winning is not going to really move the needle.
Look at J.R. Smith's game 1. Dribbling the ball up. One of the biggest sports stories of the year, that move.
Yeah.
And the Phil thing is kind of harmless, too. So it's kind of almost fun to talk about. But
when he told golf fans to toughen up, that to me was like, wait, easy there, Phil. Toughen up? Why don't you toughen up and just put it out? Why do I have to toughen up? All right, we'll take a break here. Phone calls coming up, best and worst of the weekend. We will dive into the Kawhi Leonard is on the block. He's available. But I think people are missing the bigger point with Kawhi Leonard. In fact, 2 points with Kawhi Leonard. Have that for you coming up next year, Dan Patrick Show.
Hey, listeners, just wanted to take a minute to thank all our great sponsors and all of you great listeners for supporting this podcast. We certainly couldn't do it without either of you. And I wanted to remind you that you can support our sponsors by going to our show page at podcast1.com, clicking on the Support This Podcast button, and there you will see all our wonderful sponsors that help make this show possible. Thank you for downloading, subscribing, and of course, supporting. And now, back to the show.
Here at Podcast One, we love hearing from you. We read every tweet and comment you send our way. So don't miss your chance to take our summer listener survey. Just go to podcastone.com and click on the survey banner, or go to podcastone.com/mysurvey. It only takes a few minutes, and it gives you the opportunity to make a direct impact on your favorite shows. Tell us how you really feel so we can get to know you better. We value your thoughts and participation. So check out the survey at podcastone.com/mysurvey, or click on the survey banner on podcastone.com. Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Oh my God.
The play of the day. This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Give and go. Chicharito from Guardado. Here he comes. Hernandez leads it. Lozano. Cutting. Looking. Shooting. Lozano.
Mexico stuns Germany. The reigning World Cup champs in the opener. A little La Cucaracha from the Gypsy Kings. You know what La Cucaracha means?
The cucaracha?
No.
Oh.
McLovin, do you know?
Yes, it's a bug. It's a cockroach.
It is a cockroach. La Cucaracha. That's courtesy of Fox with a little help from Telemundo. Yes, Paul.
Do you think like sports radio in Mexico, when they play something that's USA related, they put them we always put cliche music. They put like "Born on the USA" by Springsteen around the cut, like a play of the day on a Mexican sports radio station.
I don't think so. They probably don't. I don't know if they go. Let me make this easier for you to understand. Like the musical accompaniment.
What would be the most cliche American song that you'd play?
But what are we talking about?
But like play of the day. We had a
like if the United States was in the World Cup and we won or something.
Yeah, or won a match and we put play of the day around it.
Oh.
I'm going Springsteen.
You want to do Born in the USA? Even though Born in the USA is not like an uplifting song. I was always amazed that politicians wanted to use Born in the USA as their rallying cry. And I go, do you read the lyrics? If you read the lyrics, it's an indictment on the United States. Yes, McLovin.
Yeah, it was Reagan's midterm election song, and it's a horrible critique of our Vietnam policy.
Yeah. 12 before the hour. All right. Yeah, Fritzy.
What about Neil Diamond coming to America? They're coming to America.
Maybe. Yeah, I never thought of that. In other countries, when they have a USA reference, do they play music? Yes, McLean.
And no one under 50 would have thought of that, too, because I don't think Coming to America by Neil Diamond is
Play of the day
current.
Brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Farmers' customizable home insurance packages offer coverage options that you can tailor for your home turf. At Farmers, we know a thing or two. We've seen a thing or two. Discover home coverage options and more at farmers.com. A couple of phone calls here. Let's see. Got our poll question. Has to do with Phil Mickelson. Let's just see how that goes.
Yeah, it's a little one-sided so far.
Yeah? People don't care?
They do not care.
Okay.
Our audience doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because I think they were like you. I mean, like, yes, he should have been DQ'd, but it's not a crime against humanity.
No, it's not. It was just one of those, because it's Phil. If that was somebody else who did it, it would be just a footnote. But because it's Phil, it's bigger. But Phil should be held accountable just like everybody else. Michael in Texas. Hey, Mike, what do you have for me today?
Hey, what's going on, DP?
Hey,
Mike, 5'7", decent 215.
Okay.
Wasn't sure if y'all caught the Rangers game. I'm sorry, I had a best of the weekend. The Rangers game yesterday and Saturday. Jose Trevino, 8 days after having his first child, got his first major league at bat, his first major league hit. Then Sunday gets his first major league start, as well as 2 RBIs for a walk-off.
Not bad. Yeah, I saw that, where they doused him. Yeah, thanks for the phone call, Michael. John in New Zealand is back. Hi, John. What do you have for me?
G'day, Dan. Danettes. I've got 2 bests of the weekend.
Okay.
The first one is Australia played a cricket test, a rugby test, and a World Cup game all at the same time, and they lost all 3.
Okay.
So that was fantastic.
All right.
And then the other best of the weekend, it's just got to be a big thank you to Phil Mickelson, because because anybody who's ever played golf has had that moment where you've been on a green or you've been on a hole where you're just losing your marbles. You're going absolutely bananas, and you think, how can anybody play this game? And to see a Hall of Fame golfer absolutely lose it like that it was wonderful to see.
All right. Well, thank you, John. Not everybody agrees, but I can identify with it. But that I can do it on my golf course. It just fills on the biggest stage. Now when this happens all the time. Like a guy will hit it and then it'll just like stop it and then he'll like tap it and go, all right, give me a bogey. And then you go, okay, let's move on to the next hole. But if you're playing for money, then it's no, put that out. No, whoa, hold on there. All right, the Kawhi Leonard news that broke over the weekend that he now wants out of San Antonio. All right, there's two questions I have here because everybody assumes that Paul George and LeBron are going to the Lakers and Kawhi wants to maybe join them. I think that was the general consensus here. A couple of things. If I'm the Spurs, why would I trade him to benefit somebody in the Western Conference? Why would I trade Kawhi if there's a chance he's going to go to the Lakers? Now, maybe if I'm going to trade him, I send him to Sacramento. I don't want Kawhi Leonard to come back and haunt me. He doesn't want to play for us. I'm not going to give him what he wants. I'm just not. And then I started to think, okay, what are the Lakers sending to San Antonio? Brandon Ingram? Lonzo Ball? Could you imagine Greg Popovich and Lonzo Ball and LeVar Ball? That's not happening. So what is Kawhi's game plan here? Hey, I want out. Okay. We're going to send you where we want to send you. We want to get the deal that we want to get. And we don't want to benefit anybody in the Western Conference. That was the first thing I thought of is everybody thinks, oh, the Spurs are going to accommodate the Lakers. Yeah, we're going to send him over there. R.C. Buford, their GM, is going to go, Magic, how do we help you? We're going to send you Kawhi. You don't have to send us that much. Not too much in return. Send us Brook Lopez there and Josh Hart. That'll do it. So why would you accommodate the Lakers here? Now, the other part is, how healthy is he? And I'm talking about mentally and physically here. And until you are around him, you can't just go, hey, we're going to trade for you. I'd like to know your doctors conferring with his doctors. Hopefully they're sharing you information because you didn't have that with Kawhi and his doctors in the Spurs. Really what happened in San Antonio is what I want to know. Because he's a young star. He's somebody that we don't know. He's an enigma. We have no idea who he really is because he doesn't do interviews. And he's the perfect Spur because they don't make their players available. It's not important to them. They just play. And then all of a sudden this happens. So now we're starting to see cracks in the Spurs as we are with the Patriots. Like these two legendary franchises that put together dynasties. And now you're starting to see inside. This is the first time we've been able to peek inside the San Antonio Spurs. What happened? How long is Pop going to coach there? What can you get in return for him? Because what happens on sports talk radio is you'll get somebody say, we'll take Kawhi and we'll give you Brook Lopez, Josh Hart, and a second-round draft pick. I'll hang up and listen. And then you go, no, that's not. How does this help the Spurs? We'll give you Luis Soho and Ramiro Mendoza for Mike Trout. I'll hang up and listen. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to think for the other side, too. How does this benefit the Spurs? Why would the Spurs do it? Okay, they're not going to keep him. All right. They can trade him to somebody else. I would not have him in the Western Conference, where he comes back to haunt you on a semi-regular basis. I would not do that. So, and I want to know where his head is. Yes, McLevin.
You have no idea. I've lived in New York forever now. How many times I've heard the idea of trading Ramiro Mendoza for an A-list superstar? That's always the guy. We're going to give you Mendoza. You're going to give us Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah. I'll hang up and listen.
Brandon Ingram. Is he the Ramiro Mendoza of the NBA right now? It's always Brandon Ingram.
He's a talented player, but what am I getting? You're giving up one of the top 5 players, I guess, in the game, top 7, and what are you getting in return? That's what I want to know. All right, 1 hour in the books, 2 more to go. We'll talk about the draft coming up. Can the Lakers make the Spurs an offer they can't refuse? More on that coming up. Dan Patrick Show.
Hi, this is Ben Domenech, the host of the Federalist Radio Hour. We're a daily show coming to you 5 days a week from Washington, D.C., where we interview our nation's top journalists, politicians, authors, chefs, economists, entertainers, and more. If you're looking for a contrarian discussion on news, politics, or culture, give us a listen and subscribe at podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, or at Apple Podcasts.
Immigration fight. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. House Republican leaders say they will continue working on a comprehensive immigration bill, even as President Trump says lawmakers should wait until after the midterm elections. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy says it's important that Congress address the issue now. Congressional Democrats continue to sharply criticize the president. Maryland Congressman Steny Hoyer.
He is taking infant children hostage, wrenching them from the arms of their parents.
Tacoma, Washington police, using DNA collected from a 12-year-old who was murdered more than 30 years ago, have made a cold case arrest. Police Chief Don Ramsdale says his investigators got the word earlier this week.
The lab contacted us with a match between the original DNA and the sample collected from Gary Hartman.
The 66-year-old Hartman is in custody, charged with murder of Michaela Ward. She was last seen riding her bike in 1986. I'm Tim McGuire.